you quit buying the steaks and the beer, you got no more friends.
The network and the connection of people that you have in this sport is almost as important as how fast you can drive.
Back in the day, I spoke to my race car. On my restarts at Saugus, I flick him out the window and hit the other guy's window behind me. Your son reminds me of me. He don't care who it is or what it is. He just sees a car and he wants to pass it, and that's all I've ever done.
Welcome to Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour, presented by NASCAR and Fox. And today we have one of my great, long-standing friends, Ron Hornaday, NASCAR Hall of Famer, Ron Hornaday Jr. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, when Candace called me, Kevin wants you on the show. It's like, so where do we start? Do we start when Kevin was 16? I raced against him at Mason Marin. Do we start problems we had on the lake with your boat? Do we start with a water fight at the house? We talk about Landon Lewis. We talk about Keelan. We talk about your life. I don't know what you want to talk about.
Oh, we talk about all those kids all the time.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about ourselves and how much fun we had through the years. But I think let's go. We're gonna go back a little bit here because we could probably talk for 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours.
5 or 6 a day sitting here. Yeah, we got.
So I gotta be a little bit segmented just because of the fact that we'll probably have to do 2 or 3 of these shows as we go forward. But take me back. I want to go back to the beginning of the truck days. I want to go back to that moment in time when Earnhardt called. How did all that go down? You were racing winter heat, and that's really where all that started. How did all that time period go down with the call from Dale and how it got started?
Well, the winter heat started perfect timing because no NASCAR was done racing and everything, and it was on TV. And I think I won almost everything down there. And I asked Darrell Waltrip, I said, how come I got a phone call, this new truck series coming up and everything? Everybody thinks you're 50 years old with your gray hair. You're going to have to diet to do something. And that next week, I dieted, and Dale Earnhardt called me. But it all started with Wayne Spears. Same way you got your start in your Winston West days and everything, is the exhibition, 6 races. Wayne put the truck together. We got to run on 6 races. And winter heat, I think maybe Skinner won that race down there. But exhibition race down there, and we ended up winning that thing and got the phone call from Dale.
So the exhibition races, and I think for a lot of people that don't know the history of the truck series, the truck series actually started with 6 guys that built trucks. They had some exhibition races. It was you
off-road. There was off-road racing.
Yeah, you had
Venable, Jimmy Smith, and all them is the one who started
Pirelli. Who were the 6 guys in that field to start with? Was Roger Mears in that field?
No, I don't think so. I think it was more like Keselowski's dad. Man, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the truck series was really originated in Bakersfield, California, right. And those trucks were actually built off of Turn 2 at Mason Marin, and
Gary Collins,
and that's where a lot of those trucks really began, and so the West Coast really started the truck series, and you go back to even before the days when Dale called. You started where? How did your racing career start?
Married Lindy, and I was working on people's race cars. And she goes, "What are you doing? Are you getting home so late every night?" I said, "I like working on race cars." So why don't you build your own race car? So I talked to my dad the next day, and we worked at Galpin Ford, and he goes, "Go up there and see Rudy Prince." So Rudy Prince gave me a car, and I drove it home, ripping the headliner out of it.
Yeah.
And went to Lindy's dad's and got a case for $5 from John Christensen, and we were racing Antelope Valley Fairgrounds.
Antelope Valley Fairgrounds.
Yeah.
And then, so Antelope Valley Fairgrounds, and then ultimately, your heyday was really where you made your name with Saugus, correct?
Right, yeah. But
Saugus Speedway in California.
Right, the guy come down and said, "I got an old car out in the backyard, an old Chevelle, if you want to race Saugus." I said, "Sure." So we thrashed on it the last 2 or 3 weeks and got there. You know how you stage at Saugus, you stage in the back straightaway. And there's 3 or 4 divisions there. Well, I got in the wrong division. I got in the sportsman division instead of the street stock division.
Yeah.
And I ran pretty good. And I think the second race, I won a heat race, and it says Hornaday wins at Saugus again because my dad always raced there. So my dad got involved and built our house car, and that's when we were running the modified, the chisel nose, big car, and all the open comps and everything.
Did you ever run the figure 8 races out there?
Not at Saugus, but Ascot I did.
Really?
But I got to run the chain races there. Saugus was more like Tim Huddleston.
Yeah.
More hula and everything else was
a lot of flair.
Yeah, a lot of flair
that went with that. So you run the late models or you run the sportsman divisions and street stocks and things at Saugus. When did it finally say, okay, I'm going to start traveling. You ultimately wound up in the Southwest Tour. So
Right.
you go from Saugus, and how did you make that step from local racing? Well, really start to local racing in the late model cars, and then moving
Well,
on.
with my dad's car, we won everything that one year, the Firecracker 150, the Saugus
What year was
330.
this?
It's got to be 82,
82.
83-ish, right in there.
So I was born.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah.
But I mean, and then it's, we won the championship with John Covan's car, Pop Covan's car at Saugus Speedway. And we were in Laughlin, Nevada, and Lindy and Dennis Dyer and everybody went to another casino, and I stayed there, and I had $100 left. Played Lindy's dad's Keno numbers and won $7,900. So I took $900 and put $7,000 away. And Lindy come walking in, and I come running at her. And she thought she was in trouble. I said, I just won. We got home Monday morning, went straight down to Dave Jackson and handed him the money and said, I want to build a Southwest Tour car. I built a Southwest Tour car then.
And that was kind of the way that it was. Maybe I'm not remembering this correctly, but it was always, all right, I won some money here. I got some money here.
Kids ain't getting shoes. We're getting new tires.
Yeah.
That's
how you guys raced, though. It was it was a lifestyle.
You had a full-time
family.
job.
Yeah,
you had a full-time job. I mean, I drove from Palmdale, Lancaster to work on Sepulveda and then drive another hour to my dad's house in Simi Valley and then drive home that night. So you get home at 1, 2 o'clock and then get up at 5:36 going to work. And that was a routine you always had. So your kids didn't see you that much, because you wanted to race. And we just did it because we loved it. Someday, just put food on the table, but not that much. We'd always put it back into the car. But we've never, I've always taught my kids, when you leave your house or leave your shop with your race car, all your bills are paid. Because if you wreck that car, you don't owe nobody nothing. All you have is a wrecked race car.
When did it become a job? When were you able to quit your job and just race for a living, or give it a?
Well, I mean, when Earnhardt called in '94,
that was the first time you didn't have a job.
Yeah, I mean, we had Victory Circle race cars. We were building them.
The chassis company,
and then we owned Ron Hornaday's Automotive right there, a little 4-base there on San Fernando Road, in Newhall, and we were working that diligently every day. And Lindy had a full-time job, so we had Lance Hooper with me working out there, and then I'd leave there and go up to Victory Circle race cars. We had 6 guys there building cars. So very successful. I think our biggest deal was 36 cars started the field at Phoenix, and 27 were our cars.
No kidding.
Yeah, so we were really getting in. And then we called and sold the shop to Craig Rodman when Earnhardt called.
So you sold the business, you sold the chassis business as soon as you left?
No.
Okay.
Lindy stayed back. She didn't come back until 95. I came back in 94, helped Doug Richard build the truck, learn about it, learn the guys. And Lindy finally ended up selling it in the 95, but we had to give it away because nobody was there, Ron Hornaday wasn't there, so my 5-star body was like $365, a lot of money. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
They'll keep calling me for money, so I finally called 5-star. He says, yeah, they got this much money out. Well, they were giving body parts out because they thought it was a sponsorship. I said, no, one fender, not every time he wrecks.
Yeah.
So we had a crash dummy that wrecked every week. It cost a little bit of money. So Rodman got the Victory Circle pretty cheap. We sold our house. Johnny Pahorkas sold it to him. I shouldn't say it, but he still owes me the down payment on it because he didn't have the money, so I put the down payment on it for him. And he says when he sells the house, he's going to pay me. And his dad's living it still to this day.
No kidding.
So I haven't got paid.
Well, that's the way that usually
I'm going to hurt
goes.
his feelings, so
yeah. Well, so you get the call to go back. You sell the chassis company. You move your whole family, but before you still help people before you left. So we sell the chassis company. We go back to drive for Dale, and all of a sudden, everybody is in your house. As far as it's eventually myself, and you had Jimmy Johnson. Who else went through this whole process? Because when you moved, you started driving, but you immediately started bringing other West Coast guys and helping people.
I met Jimmy he was off-road driver, and I was there. We had a Chevrolet function out in Vegas, and he told me he was going to run for the Herzlogs to come out and rent a house. And I said, hey, you got my house to stay, save your money, figure out how much you're going to pay for rent, put that away, and that'll be your down payment on a house. And I think you kind of did the same thing a little bit where Lindy wouldn't let you rent, and she found a house for you, and Jimmy did that. So it just opened up. We helped, Ross, when he came out, he's not very far away. He's only 8 hours away, where we were 3,000 miles away. Ross only stayed there for a couple of weeks until he got us on his feet and know the boundaries of Mooresville. And poor Blake Feast, he tried to sleep on the couch like you guys did. It didn't work. He got fired when Ricky Hendricks got killed,
Yeah.
because he was working for him, and Ricky were really close friends. So a lot of people. But you know what I found out is when you sell the house, the big house, you quit buying the steaks and the beer, you got no more friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, you quit buying all steaks and beer. It's weird.
Less people show up.
That's it.
Well,
That's it.
I mean, for me personally, being able to have somebody that I knew and raced with and could trust, that's hard in racing. You know as well as I do. It's hard to find somebody that you can actually trust. But when I started in the truck series with Spears, it was, all right, here's what you need to do. Get your autograph cards. And Ron would make me go to the autograph sessions and sit next to him and sign autographs because nobody wanted my autograph. So I had to sign first because he knew that they would have to go to me before they went to him. And then I would have to sign the autograph. And he made sure that people knew who I was in order to start building a brand and building a name, and took me to the shop and took me to places that I didn't know about. And that was just what you guys did. And for me personally, that really opened my eyes to what you were supposed to do, how you were supposed to treat people. The network and the connection of people that you have in this sport is almost as important as how fast you can drive.
It is. It is. I mean, that's what I tell the kids nowadays. I mean, I probably told your son a couple times, but I mean, Landon Lewis, I beat it in his head is when you're at dinner, you got your elbows on the table, you don't wipe your mouth off with a napkin. I said, that guy standing over there might be your next sponsor, your next owner. So I said, your personality, everything outside the racetrack is more important than on the track. And it seemed to work out. I don't know. I mean, I got very fortunate to be one of the first ones to get called, and then Biffle got called from out there, and then you started racing. So the West Coast got pretty big out here, and so they started looking for drivers out from them. So this is really going different. I thought, man, we were going to talk about the water hose in the house.
Well, we'll get there.
I know.
We'll get there. We'll get there. And I think as the racing and the time went on, people really started to realize that West Coast racing was no joke.
It was. And
Yeah.
what you're doing right now, the Cars Tour out there, I mean, you get phone calls and saying, hey, what's Kevin doing? I mean, we usually get 12, 13 cars, and now they're getting 20 cars out there. So it's the rules, I believe, of what you follow. And I don't care if you're a driver, a crew member, anything. There's rules to follow, and you do that, people are going to watch it, and they're going to look.
Yeah.
So racing hasn't changed other than the only thing I miss is the cars. I miss the people out there, but I think NASCAR's really developed this new car. I mean, you hear everybody complain about it. I never got to drive with a mouthpiece. I still drove with open helmets, and when they went to full face, I was the first one to complain about it. Because back in the day, I smoked in my race car.
How many cigarettes would you smoke in a race?
Just every yellow flag. I just use it so when I'm going to restart at Saugus, I'd flick them out the window and hit the other guy's window behind me.
Yeah.
And then they think, oh, we're on sparking.
Did you smoke an Earnhardt's truck?
No. I was a secret closet smoker back then. I was trying to cut back then. But I drove for Wayne Spears, and Corelli beat me up there at Colorado, and it's his home track.
Yeah.
And Wayne calls me in and says, hey, go look at that truck. I go, what's that? And he goes, that's for your cigarettes. And I got a cigarette lighter in there. He said, you ran out of nicotine. You need more cigarettes than
Wayne said that.
Wayne Spears said that. So, and it was really cool to see Connie Spears this weekend up there.
Yeah. Well, the Spears family has been such
both of our
a
careers.
massive part of so many careers as they've gone through time. Even when you look at it from a crew member standpoint, just introducing, they were really the only team that had the capability to run nationally.
He built his own motors, built everything right there in the house.
Yeah.
And I mean, I got an opportunity to go with Wayne to Indy. West Hyatt in points, top two, can go back there and make sure they made the Indy race.
Right.
And that was an experience just to go there. And that almost turned my mind of, do I really want to go cup racing? Because the traffic, if you're not an Earnhardt or a big name with a police escort to get in there, you're going to be late for driver's meeting because of the traffic.
You got to get up earlier.
Yeah, you got to get a lot earlier. It's a full-time job. Nobody knows that. It's not getting in the car and race.
So we were fortunate to have a lot of fun, and you taught me a lot about life in general. But I think some of the most fun times that I had were probably when we bought the Bobcat.
Oh.
And I don't know. So Ron there were several things that would happen. Ron would sit in my cove in the morning outside of my lake house, and he would honk the horn in the cove until I would wake up.
Kevin was not a morning person.
Not a morning person.
No.
So he would sit in the cove and honk the horn, and then we would go and
have breakfast or lunch
people
by then.
in the tube, or have lunch, or drink beer, or whatever the situation was on that particular day. But we bought this, or he bought the Bobcat. I wasn't buying anything. He bought the Bobcat, and we would knock trees down. We would redo roads. But my favorite story, we decided, his wife bought me this house, and we decided that we were going to redo the inside of this house. Yeah.
She told Kevin to buy it.
I bought it. Yeah. And so I bought my first house, and we gut this house. We take all the wood paneling out of it. We take it down to the studs inside, and put the sheetrock up ourselves, put the diamond plate up in the rooms. We made game rooms. Well, we get the inside done, and we decide that we're going to take this Bobcat and we're going to redo the outside of the house.
Got a picture of this. It's got a nice deck overlooking that with a hill going down to the lake.
Yeah, so we took all that down, and we decided that we're going to dig a hole. And we've got all the stuff.
No, we were digging underneath that thing to make the bar back there.
Right.
Yeah, but you did take the deck down. We still left the deck on the back of the house.
Sidewalk.
Yeah, just sidewalk.
Just the sidewalk right outside the house. So right in front of the sidewalk, we decide that we're going to dig this trench to make the little deck.
Little
make
cave,
a deck
yeah.
with a little man cave down below, overlooking the water. So we bring this Bobcat over here, and Hornaday has dug out this. I don't even know how. I mean, how wide do you think that thing was? It had to be 30 feet wide, 40 feet wide.
Had to be,
and probably 8 feet tall.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's right in front of my house and
facing the lake.
Facing the lake. So it starts raining a lot, and the concrete starts to fall down. The house is probably going to wash away. We didn't really. I couldn't afford to go back and build it, but. So we dug this hole. We had all the trash from the inside of the house at the top, and
we burned it.
We decided that we were going to burn it one night. So we take all the trash out to the bottom, and we burn this.
Yeah, but get back to the point,
bonfire.
digging it out.
Yeah,
and you weren't there that day, and I made you come down.
You dug it out while I was not there.
But I think that 5 to 7 headstones we found. The guy used to own the house. If he messed up, making a headstone, spelling the name wrong, he'd bring him home and make it a seawall. But something got under there when they started digging it out, and we had headstones. We were digging out Kevin's house.
We thought they were
haunted.
Yeah, we definitely thought the house was haunted. But we had the biggest fire that you could possibly imagine. I don't know how we didn't burn the whole neighborhood down.
We probably did. We didn't really care.
No, we didn't. We didn't care at that time. But it was one thing after another.
Always.
What was
the time we got the water guns squirting around the house and everything, and
your wife was so mad.
Yours broke. No, she loved you.
Yeah.
And Kevin don't play fair. If you guys didn't know that, he's a practical joker. Watch him do it, just follow along with all the balls in the car. So his squirt gun breaks, and all he found is, so we chased him around, and he found the garden hose with a little spray nozzle. It's stuck wide open. It wouldn't shut off. And Lindy got him right in the face. So he's after Lindy. He chased her all the way in the house, through the front door, through there, and she runs in the bathroom. And he's spraying it up underneath the door and spraying it everywhere. And Lindy comes out with a dirty old plunger chasing him down out the thing. So every time Kevin has a get-together, she always brings his plunger.
Yeah.
That's all I can remember. She remembers the whole story like it was.
Do you remember the day that we got the boat stuck in the
shoal?
In the shoal.
Yeah.
She was not happy about that either. No.
And the story, that badass boat you bought from Mike Bliss, we're driving down the lake with 12 people in it, and the steering breaks and the whole boat flops over, and your elbow and your knees, or your elbows and your head's hitting the water, just leaned over, and we had to drive it all the way back with 1.5 miles, 2 miles in the water.
Yeah. We definitely had fun. And then as you go through time, and we have all the things that we were fortunate to experience together during that time, my team gets to a point on the truck side at KHI. It's like, man, we're not winning enough. We're not where we want to be. I don't like the demeanor of our team.
That's why I wear this shirt.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for you and Delana hiring me, I wouldn't probably be in the Hall of Fame. But they put the wrong person in there. Lindy should be in there for all the stuff she's done for us.
Yeah.
I mean, she kept us in line. We might wander the wrong way, but she's the first one to put us back in line.
Yeah. And I think for me, I went over to hire Ron. I knew that was who I wanted to drive my truck. And so I went over there with the intention of leaving with you agreeing to drive that truck, and tell them how it went that day.
I really don't remember that much because you and your dad was huge, and I'm always nervous for your dad. I mean, his hands are so big when he shakes your hands, and when he speaks, you say, yes, sir, type deal. But I mean, I always got along with him. And you came in there and then you just said, here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I can offer. And you put it on a piece of paper and sat there. And I think I said, well, let me
it was on a paper towel, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paper towel. Yeah. I said, let me get back to you. And I didn't think you were ready for that.
Yeah. Well, I knew that we needed to, from a team standpoint, I knew that we needed to kind of take it to the next level, because it's a very similar position that the sport is in the truck series right now with
Right.
Dodge coming back into the sport. So our truck team started because Toyota came into NASCAR.
Right.
And when Toyota came into NASCAR, the CEO of GM at the time had said in a meeting that all he wanted Toyota to do was to see their tailgate.
Right.
And at that point, they had to basically go all in on their truck program, and they came to us because I had been running the trucks and said, hey, we need to start a truck series program that can win. We need to be at the forefront. We have GM Goodwrench as the sponsor. We have the technical support. Will you do it? Well, we did it, and the first year went okay. Right. And the second year, there was a lot of pressure to say, we needed to win races. We didn't need to say it. We needed to go out and win races. And I knew at that time that you had the experience because you had a couple of situations that didn't go correctly for you. But I felt like between us and our relationship that you could get in that truck and put it in a position to where we could win races. And we did.
So when we did, we agreed upon something, and I got to the shop that Monday and talked to Fred Lexi.
Yeah.
Everything kind of changed a little bit because he's your lawyer.
Yeah.
But we agreed upon it. And I think you announced that I was driving for you at your Christmas party.
Yep.
And I think everybody other got there a little earlier, and I got there a little later, and Kevin announces me, and he goes, so before I tell you who our new driver is, I'll just let you know so you guys don't get all mad. I hired 2 more fabricators.
Yeah.
And it's the drawn horn, and everybody started clapping. So Kevin knew I was hard on equipment.
But that's what I wanted.
Right.
That's
I
what
didn't
series...
wreck a lot of guys. Jack Sprague to this day says I wrecked him a lot, but I knew I had to put food on the table. That's my job. Every position was a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there. When they put you in the Hall of Fame, you don't think of the Hall of Fame or anything. I raced to put food on the table. That was my job. Every position was something. So I was greedy. Your son reminds me of me when I was younger. He don't care who it is or what it is or you or whoever he's racing. He's racing against guys I raced against. Yeah. And you raced against. Your son's 12 years old. So he just sees a car and he wants to pass it, and that's all I've ever done.
Yeah. When you look back at those truck days, I know we had our time period, but all the way back to when you started, who was the best rival? Who was the best?
We're going to have to say Jack because he was in it the longest, and he was the one that always pissy enough where you can rub him. And he always says, how come you run into me so much? And I said, well, I don't have a compatible motor, so if I can slow you up in the corners, I can run with you down the straightaways. But he'd keep score. He'd say, hey, you got this many wins, I got this many wins, I owe you one, or stuff like that. He was always the funnest. Skinner wasn't in it long enough. He was, when he drove the Goodwrench truck back then, he was good. He was the guy that you had to beat.
Did you feel like
Joe Ruttman? We had Butch Miller. We had,
you had the who's who of short track racing.
Everybody. You got to remember, they're all trying to make a name for themselves. We had 43 trucks start the field back then on a half-mile racetrack. The biggest track we went to was a mile. So, you had a lot of short track racers, guys who were trying to make a name for themselves, from Joe Ruttman. You start naming everybody. It was tough to win a race.
Yeah. And when you look back at those Sprague wars, was there one that sticks out?
Oh, there's 3.
3.
The white glove incident, and then the next one.
Well, tell him what the white glove incident was.
It was in Indy. He just, he said he got loose, but you can see his hands. So he didn't wear white gloves no more. Yeah. He got me there, but I think Milwaukee, he got me. He gets underneath you, and back in the day, you pin them down a little bit, and they get loose, and they wreck you, and they keep going on. But Loudon was the best one. He got me, and I backed it in the fence, and I don't know how they got the truck running back again, but Jack was not going to win the race. He'd go to lap me, and I'd make sure I'd pin him against the wall and slow him up and all that. But we still go to dinner.
Really?
Yeah. We just went to dinner with Wayne Otten and Jack about 3 weeks ago.
Did you spend much time in the NASCAR trailer with Jack? Did it ever get to that point?
No.
Really?
No, our biggest one was Mike and I back in the day. Not in that hauler, but in the Earnhardt hauler where, hey.
You're talking Mike Skinner?
Mike Skinner.
Yeah.
Childress, Earnhardt raced for Childress. Skinner races for Childress. I race for Earnhardt. And we're rubbing the crap out of these trucks. We're putting bodies on them every week, beating them, bang, because they're short track. And he says, you guys got to stop. This is costing us money. So it's just, I mean, you'll learn a lot. And I mean, I don't know, back in the day, I had some pretty good burnouts. And I started racing for you and started looking where the money's coming from and what gets ruined when you win a race, where you can't run that drive shaft again. You can't, the axles. It starts costing a lot of money. So everybody's doing burnouts, you know. You might as well throw that car away.
Earnhardt liked the burnouts?
No. He said, next burnout you do, I'm going to fine you. And all the pit crews guys go, how much is the fine? He said, I'll tell you what, if he does it again, I'm firing him.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, it was.
Now, didn't you back one in the wall?
Yeah, that was, you're going to race there.
Evergreen
Speedway. It's just started misting, and it rained the night before. And I don't know how I got the lead, but I kept going into turn one, and they cut off the poles for there used to be a movie theater, and they cut the poles off of the speakers, and there's one down there. And if you can just hit that little patch of concrete, it'll lift your truck up there, and it lands in a puddle of water, and it spray the track. The time you come back around, it was dry because you had 43 trucks going through it. And they kept yelling at me not doing it. So into the race, spoiler was a little too low, so we because it's a 5/8 mile track. That's one of the biggest tracks we ran on back then. So did a little donut and backed her in the fence and pushed the back of the truck up.
Yeah. Did he make you race it the next week?
Yeah, we took it to my shop in California because we were doing that. I think we ran 3 or 4 races out there in a row. So yeah, we straightened it up. I had to do it myself, and that was my whole deal with. And I did it with your truck too. If I was racing and wrecked a truck, and I was going for the lead or something like that, it didn't bother me as bad as me being stupid and running into somebody and tearing it up for no reason. I'd be the first one over there cutting the body off, help putting it back together and stuff like that. I've always been a guy that liked to work on things and couldn't just sit at home. Well, we did, but I mean, you still went up there 2 or 3 days a week and try to do what you can.
So did you work in the truck shop while you were at
yes.
Earnhardt's?
Yeah, if I wasn't working the trucks, I was working with the kids because I came from late model days, and they'll keep sending them cars out to put bodies on over at Hemke's and all this. It's like, let the kids put their own bodies on. They'll learn how to race that way. And if you just have your sponsors pay for putting bodies on, they're not going to learn how to race.
Yeah. And I remember, and I've told this story on here before, but that's where we got our first shotgun.
Yeah, trying to play golf.
Yeah, because
but you're pretty good at it now.
Our golf game was bad.
Mine was 68.
68
on the first 9.
On the first 9. Yeah, and I'll never forget walking into his office that day, and you just go bouncing into the office, and you sit down, and he's looking at you over his pile of paper. What do you 2 idiots want? And
that serious face, the one was just, am I supposed to be in here?
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Was he ever? Did he call you a lot and scold you?
He called every morning because Dale Jr. stayed at our house.
Really?
Lady, Junior there? Give me the phone. Give him the phone, every morning. So, yeah, Junior stayed with us a lot back then. Lady co-signed for Dale Jr.'s first cell phone. So we were around in them days.
Cell phone.
Yes. Junior don't remember it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he didn't let you get that close to him.
Yeah.
He was your buddy. I mean, Monday nights we'd have Monday Night Thunder and talk about the racing and have a couple beers, then he'd send you home. But he never been on his boat, but one time just down there to have dinner. But it's nothing like you and I type deal, know. So he was a racer. You didn't have to use excuses, kind of like you. You've done it. You've been there. I don't have to go in there and say, hey, that guy wrecked me. Here's what I did. No, I screwed up. That's all there is to it. As long as you admit your mistakes, you were good. Yeah.
Well, it was an interesting time. I always tell people it was the best time that you could possibly imagine because you got to race for and against guys like Dale. You got to race against the next generation of guys coming up. It's just such a unique time, especially for me, to be able to race against the current generation of guys that is driving, see the next generation come up, having raced with you and Sprague and a lot of those guys as I was coming up. So you got to experience a lot of different generations of race car drivers, and it was quite the time to grow up. But last question. What was your first car that you drove on the street? Do you remember?
Oh, I do. I worked full time when I was 15 years old at a transmission shop, and I had 12 credits left to finish high school, or 8 credits left, and I was playing basketball at night, getting credits, and I wasn't doing that because everybody was out there smoking dope and doing all that. So I just started working full time. Since I didn't graduate, my father didn't buy me a car like he bought my sisters. So my brother gave me the family car. What my dad gave to him was a 65 4-door Galaxy.
Mm.
So my dad took it to work and got it painted and put the US wheels on it. It was a sleeper. It had a Boss 428 in it.
Oh, man.
If I put more than 3 people in it, I had to put 2x4s under springs. And I never got beat in that car, because the good thing about it, I'd move them out of the way.
Beat as in street racing?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Simi Valley just started that new 118 freeway, and I'd come down there and make a hard, sweepy right-hander, and you've always seen how fast you can go down it. First it was 50, then it was 60, then you're 80 mile an hour. Then it's raining and you're sliding and hitting the other side of the curve. So we had fun. Then I bought my own van, and that was it.
Everybody in my ear is from LA, so they're trying to imagine these roads as they currently exist, and you street racing down them as they were being built. But well, thanks for taking the time today. I know that we could sit here and tell stories, but
we got a lot of them. Wow.
Appreciate everything that you've done for the sport and me personally. So,
well, I wore this shirt, and I usually don't wear it because I don't believe that I deserve it. My wife does, but I got to thank you and Delana, just a part of my whole career of give me the championships, the trucks to do that, the people behind us. I mean, it was pretty damn cool. Do you believe it in me?
It was
Thank
fun.
you guys.
Well, we appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time today.
Appreciate it.